spread wherever you go. Thank you so much. Also, another alias is Michael Haribo Evans. Find him on Facebook, Michael Haribo Evans. He only does that because he's trying to hide from magic light.
It got a lot of my friends to say Haribo. And
yeah.
to see this Haribo.
Haribo.
Yeah.
Michael Haribo. Meg, good to see you. How are you?
Good. Nice to see you too.
Yeah.
Glad to have you back.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I notice we have the usual suspects. Always, not always, but much of the time it's the same folks coming to drink the nectar of Bhagavad Gita. So, without further ado, what is a do anyway, and why can't we have more of it? They always say that. Yeah, without further, wait a minute, I didn't get enough yet. I didn't know what the stuff is, and you're taking it away. Let's move on to Bhagavad Gita. I have a handy helper tonight in case that some of you nod off and you don't get my jokes. I've got this. So I don't need you to laugh.
Who's laughing?
This was in San Antonio, and I went to pick up Dr. Mike. We were just all of us sitting around having too much fun. Keep that ready. Never know when you need that. So, we're going to talk about Bhagavad Gita. My mind was attracted, and my attention was attracted to chapter 15, verse 7. And I don't know if you have this one. If you have this one, it's on page 720, but I don't know where it is in the orange ones. 15th chapter, 7th verse. Everybody got it? So this is Krishna talking. Mamaiva shmo jiva loke jiva bhutaha sanatanaha manaha sashtamindani prakriti shtani karshati. Translation: the living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. So I'll say, and you can repeat, the living entities, in this conditioned world, are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard. With the six senses, which include the mind. Report by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In this verse, the identity of the living being is clearly given. The living entity is the fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, eternally. It is not that he assumes individuality in his conditional life and in his liberated state becomes one with the Supreme Lord. He is eternally fragmented. It is clearly said, Sanatanaha. What does that mean? Anybody, what does Sanatanaha mean?
Eternal.
Eternal. Like in Sanatan Dharma. Eternal duty. According to the Vedic version, the Supreme Lord manifests and expands himself in innumerable expansions, of which the primary expansions are called Vishnu Tattva, and the secondary expansions are called the living entities. In other words, the Vishnu Tattva is the personal expansion, and the living entities are the separated expansions. By his personal expansion, he is manifested in various forms like Lord Ram, Nrsimhadev, Vishnumurti, and the predominating deities of the Vaikuntha planets. The separated expansions, the living entities, are eternally servitors. The personal expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the individual identities of the Godhead, are always present. Similarly, the separated expansions of the living entities have their identities. As fragmental parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, the living entities also have fragmental portions of his qualities, of which independence is one. Every living entity, as an individual soul, has his personal individuality and a minute form of independence. By misuse of that independence, one becomes a conditioned soul. And by proper use of independence, he is always liberated. In either case, he is qualitatively eternal, as the Supreme Lord is. In his liberated state, he is free from this conditional material condition, and he is under the engagement of the transcendental service unto the Lord. In his conditioned life, he is dominated by the material modes of nature, and he forgets the transcendental loving service of the Lord. As a result, he has to engage. He has to struggle very hard to maintain his existence in the material world. I'm going to pause here and let's discuss what we've heard so far. What this verse is saying, the living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Krishna is saying that all of us, all the living entities in this material world, are eternally, these are key words that we have to focus on, eternally my fragmental parts. Now, what is he saying here? What does that mean? The Prabhupada goes on to explain basically what we're not saying when we cut to the chase. What we're not saying is that you're temporary fragmental parts. Sanatanaha is used here. Sanatana. Eternally. We are eternally his fragmental parts. Us. Finish. Okay? There are no yevats to that. Anybody know what a yevat is? Somebody says a truth and you say, well, yeah, but, there aren't any. That's the end of the statement. We're eternal fragmental parts. Now you wonder, why is he dwelling on this? I get it already. But sometimes it's hard for us to remember this, because we may hear a philosophy that seems to differ. You see, there is another philosophy that's just diametrically opposed to this, in that we're eternally, when we're liberated, we are the same. We're merged. And then we become fragmented, or this thing, this ball of energy called the Godhead, which is just energy. It's the impersonal conception of God. It fragments into little pieces, of which we are those fragments. Like when something explodes, little pieces go flying out everywhere. You'll see sparks fly out of a fire sometimes, So that belief is that this Godhead fragments, or at least partially fragments, to come to this material world temporarily, to observe itself, or to observe its creation, or to have some adventure on the trek through this creation. You see, to experience darkness, to experience suffering, to experience the material world which is void of the Godhead. You see? It's the energy of God, but we come here to misperceive it. You see, we're encased in a body that's made of the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So, and we are convinced that we are a body, whether it's a squirrel or a snake or a dog or a human. Okay? And then, so the Godhead is doing this. Okay? So, we, as Vaishnavas, the worshippers of Vishnu, Krishna, from what we've learned, we'll quickly have a question. First of all, this goes against what Bhagavad Gita says. Bhagavad Gita doesn't say that. Bhagavad Gita says that we are eternally fragmental parts. In the liberated stage, we are fragmented. We are not in the soup, you see. We're the same material as Krishna. It's just like my fingers are the same material as the rest of me. You see what I mean? So we are individual, part and parcel, but individual. Fragment means a piece of that's not connected to. You know? So we are eternally fragmented. There's never a time when we are merged. So we don't come from a merged situation. We're not going to a merged situation. All right? So another thing that the devotee would ask upon hearing this is, all right, this is confusing to me, my dear impersonalistic speculative philosopher. If I'm God, if I am that Godhead, we all believe in God, right? Some form of God. And this God, this Godhead, whether this Godhead is an impersonal bunch of energy or Krishna with a personality and a form, the Godhead is lacking nothing. It's totally complete, right? Totally complete, needs nothing, lacks nothing, has everything. If the Godhead has everything and is lacking nothing, then it's got to have, if it has everything, it's got to have form. Otherwise, it is incomplete. Am I okay here? You following this? And I say this because sometimes people, well, there's no yeahs to this. You know, we all agree that Godhead is complete, has everything. Therefore, the Godhead has form, and also at the same time, to be complete, Godhead is unmanifest. Krishna has his unmanifest side as well. Manifest and unmanifest. All omniscient. God is all omniscient, so he knows everything. He certainly knows things that emanate from him. You know, can you imagine this Godhead? And something emanates from it, and he says, "Ooh, what was that? I need to check that out." Huh? What is that? Did you see what just emanated from me? Why, let's see what. Why, it looks like a cosmos, a material world. Whoa! I think I'm gonna fragment and go down there and explore it. You follow my logic here? It doesn't carry any water. You know? This is broken. It doesn't fit. So, the thought that God fragments to come here to explore this material world sounds a little foolish. Huh? Sounds a lot foolish, doesn't it? You know? Why would God have to come and explore something that he created? It's part and parcel of him too. It's part of his energy, his inferior energy. But he threw it out there, you see. It's we that he created this thing for, because we're eternally his fragmented parts. And sometimes we become envious. We become envious. Why? And we start out with the thought, our first of all, that people wonder, how is this? Well, we're allowed by Krishna to have one. We're wired in such a way that we can make a mistake. We can. And that we can choose, we can make bad choices. Now somebody might say, why? Why would he do that? And the reason is because in a love affair, love is made up by at least two people that agree that I love you, and you say, well, I love you too. I want and choose to be with you. And the other one says, I want and choose to be with you. So in other words, I'm acknowledging, since I'm saying I choose to be with you, which is flattering. When somebody says that to you, isn't it flattering? I love you. I want to be with you. That's my choice. Well, that's flattering, you see. So that by me choosing to be with you, that implies that I have a choice not to be with you. I could choose not to be with you. And I could be saying the opposite thing. I could say, I don't care for you, and I choose not to be with you. You see? I could be doing that. But since I'm saying I love you and I choose to be with you, that makes it flattering, because I could be saying I don't like you enough. You see what I mean? But I'm choosing. So therefore, there is the loving exchange. So, if Krishna did not allow that ability to us, then we would be prisoners. We would have no choice. That's not complete and total love. You see? If your lover keeps you locked in a room, and you don't know that there's even anything outside that room, well, I mean, how can that be love? You know, you're just a prisoner. So it doesn't make any sense in a love affair that you don't not have a choice. So we do have a choice. So to have a choice, we have to have the right to exercise that choice. You see? In other words, my dear Lord, I choose to leave you. Which makes, my dear Lord, I choose to stay with you flattering, because I have a choice to go, but I choose to stay. Okay? So we're telling Krishna, my dear Lord, I love you and I never want to be anywhere. But we have that right to say. Now, it's a mistake because there's really nothing else. There's nothing other than Krishna. There's nothing else for us to choose of any value. So, and sometimes we may feel, you know, my dear Lord, I think I could do your job about as good as you're doing it. You know, this is common. We see this. I mean, you work a job, and a lot of people at the company think, you know, my boss is this or that, and I think I could do that job just as well as he can or she can. The president of the company, how'd that guy get there? I could do it just as well as you can. President of the country, you know, this guy's doing this. Yeah, let me be president for a while. I'll show you some changes. You know, so that's common in the living entity to think I can do better or as good as others. You see. So the living entity thinks, I want to be you. I'm not saying that you're not still going to be you, but I could be you as well. You know. So Krishna says that's okay. But you can't be me here. You can't be number one here in my home. It doesn't work because none of the other innumerable living entities are going to recognize you as me. Here, I'm their favorite. I'm their love. I'm their chosen love. If you choose to be me, you have to go someplace else. And there is a place I have for you. It's the material world. So you can go there and try to be numero uno, top dog, center of attention, the big guy, you see. Which brings us to where we are now. Here we are in this material world, and we want so much attention. We think we're so special. We all think we're very, very special, you see. Many times when I go for a walk, I'll stop and rest in a park, and I'll listen to people talking, you know. So when I go out walking, most of the time I'll go and street clothing, trying to be unnoticed, because I like to observe. If I go like this, then I'm observed and I can't observe. I become the center of attention. So, but it's nice to be able to observe, because we have a tendency, devotees have a tendency sometimes to live kind of a sheltered life. You see, we're used to nectar and bliss, and wonderful things, and we kind of forget the sufferings that are happening in the material world. So it's good to get out there. So sometimes I hear, most of the time, I hear people talking, having conversations, and even though they may appear to be like friends, they seem to be wanting to talk over the other one. In other words, one person's talking, and the other person, after listening to the conversation go back and forth, you realize this guy's talking, but this one over here is just waiting for this guy to take a breath so he can start talking. You see, because he's talking about, little Johnny was admitted to Yale, and he's got to tell little Mary's was admitted to Oxford, and my son hit 3 home runs, well, my son hit 4 home runs. I just got a promotion at work. Oh, I just got a double promotion. You see, you ever notice that? Am I wrong? You notice there was a lot of that in the material world? It seems to be a lot of it. So we're competitive with one another. People on the freeway, we notice on the freeway, people, a lot of times everybody wants to be the first one. So everybody's trying to get in front. So we see this competitive nature, and the reason is we've come here trying to be something very, very special. We're trying to be the center of attention, and we're surrounded by innumerable other living entities that are trying for the same darn thing. You see, I want to exceed, you want to exceed. I want attention, you want attention. Now, it may not be as blatant as I'm saying, but basically we all do want to be the center of attention. We always look for ourselves if there's a picture that we might be in. You see, it's hard to get over that. So we're focused. So we've come here to be the center of attention. Because in Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna is the center of attention. So in other words, we take upon a broken posture. It's broken to think, I want to be you, my Lord. Isn't it? Does that work? I mean, is that okay to look at Krishna and say, well, you know what? I'd like to be you. To get past the point of loving him and appreciating him, to where we get this envious feeling that I think I can be you as good as you, if not better than you. You see? So that's not good for the living entity, and we find ourselves here. So in other words, my point is that's a broken position for us to have. It's not conducive to the ongoing love affair that we've had for eternity with Krishna. The loving of exchange of love. We've broken that. But now I want to be you. You see. So the living entity comes to this material world. He was a fragment there, and he comes here as a fragment, and struggles. See, struggles, beat up by the senses. Due to conditioned life, we're struggling very hard with the 6 senses, which include the mind. The mind is considered the 6th sense. So people say, why is that? Well, the mind is the kind of like the controller. It should be the controller of the senses. In other words, everything should be filtered through the mind. If the mind is purified, then the mind is your very best friend. You see, like you may, if your doctor tells you you have to cut back on your sugar intake, you're pushing diabetes. And if you get diabetes, that's not good, because maybe later on in life you'll have amputations, you'll lose your feet, So I'm telling you this for your best interest. You really need to control your sugar intake. And so, then when the mind all of a sudden sees something that's sweet, If it's your friend, it at first may say, wow, look at that. Oh, no, can't have it. That's not good for us. You know? But sometimes the mind works against us when it's untrained. It'll say, oh, look at that. Just, a little bit won't hurt. One won't hurt. Today, let's eat all of this we want, and then we'll go back on our sugar fast tomorrow. Just one won't hurt you. Come on, you want it. You deserve it. You see? So the mind will work towards that. Like someone trying to abstain from alcohol or anything that you should be abstaining from. So, the mind can be our worst enemy. However, when it's trained properly, the mind can be your best friend. Like I say, you look at something, the mind says, well, that's not for us. You say, I don't want to do this activity. I don't want to partake of this proposed enjoyment. You see? Thank you, but no. So the mind can be like that. So, when we, the senses are kind of like, let's say you're in a carriage driven by 5 strong horses, and the mind is like the reins. You see, if you let go of the reins, then the horses are going to go wherever they want to. You see, like if you're in a carriage and the horses are 5 strong horses, and you're going down the road, and the horses see some nice, delicious grass over here, they may wander over there and eat for a while. And then there's a nice stream of cool water over here, and they go over there and drink for a while. And then they may decide, now let's take a nap. And here you are, you're thinking, well, but I wanted to go down the road, you see. And so, but the mind is like the reins. So the mind should say, giddy up, and steer straight. You see, the mind decides. No, you want good, nice, good grass, but you can't have that now. You can have that when we get to town. I'll feed you. I'll give you water, and you can take a nap. But right now, we're going down the road. You see, so we should learn to control the mind. Now, the big difficulty comes because we think that we are the body. We're convinced that we are the body. Even though intellectually we can sit here and discuss we're not this body, and you can say, yeah, I understand. But to realize it is another thing. Because as soon as we walk out the door, something might happen. We start thinking that we're the body again. So, if I am my body, that means I am my mind. So when my mind wants something, that means I want it. So I may see the sugar that I'm not supposed to have, and I think, oh boy, I want sugar. Well, I'm the soul. I'm the owner of the mind. You see, I own the body. So, why don't I tell the mind, no, can't do it. Mind says, but, I said, no buts. Can't do it. So after some time of training, the mind becomes trained. And it'll say, as soon as it sees something it might be attracted to that's not good, it'll immediately say, no, that's not right. Or somebody may offer, would you like a hot fudge sundae? No thanks. The mind immediately doesn't say, oh please, oh please, oh please. It just says, no thanks. So the mind can be your worst enemy by trying to lure you to things that are nonsense and not good things. But it can also become trying to enjoy. And my only way of enjoying is through the senses. I think I'm my body, so I think I'm one of my senses. I think I'm the 6th sense, the mind. I think that's me, you see. So, if I am to get cured, and I find some spiritual process that will cure this spiritual problem that I have, and take me out of this material consciousness and transcend back into spiritual consciousness, then that's very wonderful. Okay, so if I want to do that, I need to choose a path that'll take me there. So I've already chosen. Here's what I want. I want to transcend the material world by realizing I'm not this body, and go back where I came, back home to my natural position. Now, if along the way I decide that that end result is that I go and become one with God, I'm still broken. Right? You follow me? I'm still broken. I'm still envious. Now I want to go, instead of going back to his lotus feet where I can hug him and serve him and make him smile, and somebody like you, you'll go sing to Krishna. You know, you'll charm him singing. Oh, Krishna will say, oh, so sweet. Sing louder. And then you'll say, where's Dr. Mike? Get him over here to play the harmonium and sing with you. You see? And everybody will have a wonderful time. You see? Now that's not broken. You want to go back to that. That sounds like pleasure, doesn't it? Sounds sweet, tempting, yeah. Pleasing Krishna, making Krishna smile. Pleasing him to the point that he's so happy that you might see a tear in his eye of happiness. You see? What kind of a feeling is that going to give you if you can make Krishna tear up a little bit from happiness, from your efforts to please him? Sounds kind of attractive, doesn't it? Compare that to just going and becoming Krishna or God or Godhead. You see? In other words, I'm not looking for my original position, as some people would say, but you never were. You were the Godhead and you fragmented to come to explore this thing that emanated from you. Well, we already discussed that. Doesn't seem to make any sense. For 40 years, I've asked questions. I've never, even from people who have studied that philosophy for all their lives, I've never gotten a great answer. Never gotten a good answer. If you're God, what are you doing here? And how come you didn't know that? You were born in America, and then someday you discovered this impersonal philosophy. Now you think it sounds great. So in other words, you were under the spell of illusion, right? You were under the spell of Maya. Yes, that's right, I was. But if you're God and you came under the spell of Maya, that means you were conquered by Maya, which means Maya is God. You're not. Maya is stronger than you because you came under the influence. We're part of Krishna's marginal energy. See, when Krishna comes to the material world, when he comes here, he saves us. He kills demons and he annihilates the miscreants and he restores the devotees. You see, he does wonderful. He doesn't come here, when Krishna enters the material world, he doesn't think, oh, I'm my body. He's not confused. What is this world? Where's this place I'm in? We don't hear anything like that about Krishna. No, Krishna created this. He knows every atom. And he knows the pieces that make up the atom. And the pieces that make up the pieces that make the atom. He knows it all. You see? He's not curious about this place. He did it. You see? So he comes here for his purposes. He doesn't come here and forget why he came. You see? He's the superior energy. We are his marginal energy, and when we get here, we get overwhelmed by this. We actually think we're a part of it. Yes, Dr. Sean?
When he ascended as Lord Buddha, is that like an inverse, completely the opposite? So he came as Lord Buddha to fulfill that inquisition. Well, what's the alternative then? If people aren't seeking me as Krishna, then what's the alternative? And is it the progression of the Buddha?
No, he came here as Lord Buddha in Srimad Bhagavatam. It describes it. He came here as Lord Buddha to stop the mass slaughter of animals, which was happening because people were using animals for sacrifice. There are provisions in the Vedas to do animal sacrifices, not so much in this age, previous ages. So, but people were using it for dinner. It's not meant to be that way. So he came here to stop that. And he led the people away from that. So, Buddhism as we understand it today, there are like 30-something, I think, maybe more than that, branches of Buddhism. But to find the original Buddhist philosophy is very difficult. You know, Lord Buddha did not eat meat. He didn't condone eating the flesh. He came here to stop that. So if you're a Buddhist and you eat meat, you finish. You do the math. So, now, where are these people that say, "Oh, I'm a Buddhist, but I eat meat"? I don't know. I don't understand, and I don't care. I've got to focus on trying to find my lost love of Krishna. I don't have time to go look under all these rocks and every nook and cranny and explore all these philosophies. You see? And a good way to figure out where are we on philosophy is, let's just say, what is our philosophical, where do we stand right now? Let's just say that Krishna appeared. You're sleeping at night and you feel a presence and you wake up and there stands Krishna. And he's so beautiful. Standing there holding his flute, smiling at you. And you just look up and all of a sudden you just feel really wonderful. Krishna, you're here. Why are you here? Krishna says, I've come to give you anything you want. I just had this feeling I wanted to come and offer you any boon you want. Whatever you want, you can have it. What would you say? Huh? What would you ask him for?
Can I live with you?
I want $1 million, $1 billion, $10 billion, $100 billion, the biggest number you can think of dollars.
Cupcake. Something satisfying.
Yeah, you got. You're not going to say, got a stick of gum?
Well, he's granting you anything.
You see, you can ask for anything. What's the smartest thing the most valuable thing you could ask for?
More wishes.
Huh? Can I have 10 more wishes? No, the most valuable thing that you could ask for is,
To leave with him.
yeah, I want you. Can I have you? And his answer would be, you got me. I'm yours. That's the right answer. Ding, 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 ding. You win the lottery. Confetti falls down. People start singing and dancing. You go back to Godhead. Everybody, in the spiritual world's there to greet you. So that's what we would really want. I want you, my dear Lord, my beautiful Krishna. You see? Now, we could have said, this was a trick question. I noticed none of you seem to say, well, Krishna, I want to merge with you. It wasn't a knee-jerk reaction, was it? I want to merge with you.
Become one.
I want to become one with you. Did anybody think of that?
I thought of asking to be God.
But you see, your knee-jerk reaction is, oh my dear Lord, I just want you. I want you. I want to leave with you. Can I go with you? Just keep me with you. Now that I have you, I don't want to ever even blink my eyes and lose sight of you. You see? But our knee-jerk reaction isn't to say, hey, can I merge? Let's just do the merge thing, Just take, and I'm you. So, to believe that there's no God separate from you is, what's the word? What's the definition or the word that would define? I believe there's no God separate from me. So I am an atheist. I'm the king of atheists. A junior league atheist, an innocent atheist, is a person that says, I don't believe in God. But to believe there's no God separate from me, because I will merge with God and be one with God, that is an envious soul, or an envious, you see, that is a major league atheist. Now we're talking top-notch atheist. There's no God separate from me. I am God.
So,
Well,
I'm going to bring back the merging thing. So, if Krishna appeared in front of me while I was sleeping and he offered for a wish, and hypothetically the merging situation, that's what we would want to do, right? What if someone with a chance wanted to, in the same terminology, become God by merging using the same idea? Would he grant it?
I don't know, we're just going to have to try it out. Let's get his audience and give it a shot. Any comments? What would Krishna say?
There isn't a question that we can never ask that the soul doesn't already know the answer to. And in the spiritual world, which blows my mind, we know one another. Every living entity in the spiritual world we know. So my friend asked me the other day, and I was completely omnipotent is Krishna. Knows everything.
Mm-hmm.
In the spiritual world, we're not omnipotent. If we're self-realized, there isn't a question that we can ever ask that the soul doesn't already know the answer to. But what was the cutoff point between the self-realization of knowing our eternal constitution with Krishna, knowing everything in the spiritual world, and not being omnipotent? What's the difference?
Well, see, when you're in the liberated stage, when you're with Krishna, Goloka Vrindavan, when you are back home, first of all, your eternal nature is Satchidananda. You're eternal, you're full of knowledge, and full of bliss. So that's what you are when you are self-realized, when you are properly situated. You see, so in this condition of being in Goloka Vrindavan, you are, of course, we're always eternal. But when we come to this material world, even though we're eternal, we're encased in this body, which we get according to our desires and our actions. So we're still eternal, but we lose consciousness of being eternal. We're still full of knowledge, but we're in a body that can't handle knowledge, and we're confused by the material energy. So we have it, but we can't access it. We're not in an environment that allows us to feel our eternal stage of eternality and full of knowledge and bliss. How do we stay blissful in this material world very long? Very difficult. You see, it's kind of like I was walking in the park today and I could see the grass. Last time I was here, I think it was October. Anyway, I was also here in the summer. Anyway, I remember one time the grass was green. I was walking, I said, wow, look at this. I bet they have to water the heck out of the grass here to keep it green, so people can play soccer on it and whatever. You would think they'd water it so cows could eat it, but no, they don't. So anyway, the grass was so pretty and green, and today it's brown. And it's all bent over, and so it's dormant. It's still grass, but it's not in an environment to thrive. It's in an environment that forces it into dormancy. It's not dead, you see. So if we change the environment with more sunlight, more water, whatever, then the grass becomes green and thrives again. It'll grow. Like right now, I doubt if they have to cut the grass very often because it's all brown and it's not growing. It's dormant, you see. So our consciousness that we have as eternal fragments of Krishna right now is dormant. We still have it, but it's dormant because it's not in an environment to flourish. See? So that's what this Krishna consciousness is. The reason why we do this is to create an environment that will allow us to wake up, come out of a dormant stage, so that we can access our eternality, our ability to understand, you see, our knowledge, and to be blissful. It's a change of environment by injecting ourselves into a spiritual environment, which fertilizes spiritual thought and spiritual realization. It's a waking up, you see. Pretty soon the grass is going to come out of its dormant stage and it's going to be grass again, you see, alive and vibrant and healthy. And it doesn't look real happy right now. It really looks happy in the summertime, you know. As long as the environment's good, it looks very nice. If you take away some parts of the environment, like water, that it needs, it starts to look not so good. So Krishna consciousness is like that. It's providing an environment for us to flourish spiritually, you see. Yes.
How do we reconcile all of this with the Christian notion of the kingdom of God is within us?
Kingdom of God is within us. What does that mean when they say that? What are they intending? What is that? What's the point of that?
I have no idea.
That we're hankering for the eternal pleasure with Krishna, it's within you. The
Yeah,
kingdom,
well,
so they call it the kingdom because we attribute the kingdom to being paradise, some material gold, diamonds, you know. So the kingdom of God, I think in the religious sense, is equating it to that. But it's really the eternal pleasure that we're hankering for with God.
But it could mean just what I was saying. It's within you, yet it's dormant. You see, the kingdom, attaining the kingdom, your ability to attain the kingdom, go back home. It's within you. You have it. It needs to be awakened. You see, you need to change the environment so the dormancy goes away and it can awaken and flourish. You have to change the environment. You know, you can't continue doing the same things hoping that suddenly something will change. We have to start doing something different. We have to maybe take some things away, put some new things in. If we're going to get something different, we're going to have to change our input in what we do. So therefore, the kingdom of God is within you, but you can't find it. You can't reach it. You see, the kingdom, going back home, back to Godhead, the potency to do that is within us. If we could wake up, we can go now. If we can wake up and become fully convinced, fully convicted on pursuing this Krishna as our eternal lover, our eternal friend, the object above all objects, the most desirable situation, to achieve love of Godhead, and to understand that that is the topmost goal. You see? Not to think that, well, yeah, okay, I hear you say that the love of Godhead is the topmost thing, and that sounds very good, but boy, this merge thing, that's really got me attracted. You're not there. You're not awakening. You're still broken. You still want to. The enviousness isn't gone yet. See what I mean? And this is kind of deep because we've been immersed in this impersonalism and this enviousness. In some of us, it's higher than others. Some people are extremely envious of God, some somewhat less, but still it's there in all of us. There's an envious nature that we have of the Supreme. And that blocks our ability to love Him or even to conceive of loving Him. We have to give that up to come to the position of actually understanding how we can, even if we can't give it up all the way, we have to give it up enough to where we can start to understand the concept of love. You see? And a lot of people, when they hear this, they tell me, I'm just not ready for a conception of God that I would sit down next to and put my arm around. I'm not ready to go there. I'm not ready for a God that'll come up and give me a great big hug. I'm not. I just can't process that thought in my mind. I want to keep him at arm's length. I'd rather he's a block or so away. Maybe even further. Even better than that. If he's not a he or a she, he's more of an it. More energy. Oh, now I feel much more comfortable. It doesn't have a face. It doesn't have a personality. It's not making any demands on me. It's not asking me to bow down or anything. It's just energy. Now I can deal with that. You see? Just energy. There's no personality. Because if it had a personality, it would have a supreme personality. And I don't want to go tackle a supreme personality. If it's just energy, I think I can deal with that. See what I mean? Because I want to go merge. I want to be it. It's a lot easier if it doesn't have any personality, therefore can't put up any resistance. It won't let me. It has no personality. I am it. You see how that works? That's how why these philosophies are there. Yes?
I was stretching, so.
Oh, no, that's too bad. You got to ask the question. Yes.
So we're eternal fragmental parts and parcels of Krishna, and we can't actually be changed. Like, we can't be changed, and Krishna can't be changed. So the change is only in. That's why it's an illusion, right?
Yeah.
So we can't actually change.
No.
Our relationship with Krishna is never going to change. It's just covered. Right?
We can stay confused. We can stay confused and stay in this material world and stay envious and become more and more and more envious until we go down, 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 down and stay here for so long that it could be like an eternity. It could be, we could choose to stay here and transcend lower and lower and lower and get to the very, very bottom of like hardly conscious, you see, because of our enviousness and our desire to maintain that enviousness and stay here for what could be defined as an eternity. Although there's always a glimmer of hope if we accept the mercy. You see, when you get that low, how do you get the mercy? Perhaps Krishna will come and say, gosh, you've been down there a long time. Let me give you a little helping hand here and see if you'll take it. So does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I have a question. Krishna knows everything, I guess, past, present, future, and so he would know if somebody, let's say, leaves and goes down to this material, plane. He would know already the results of. How can that really be love when he knows the outcome of what's going to occur anyhow?
Well, you've got to add in the element into the equation of your having free will, and at any given time, you have a choice to make.
But
now, this can be argued.
It's tricky
because we don't. All right. So, can Krishna know what your choices will be for billions of years? Yes. Sure, he could do that. Does he want to? Or does he, since he knows that there's really no such a thing as time to the eternal Godhead and the eternal fragment, us. There's no such thing as time. So you could say he has all the time in the world, and so do we. So here you are, his fragmental part, his eternal associate, eternal servant, and you're on this journey. And he thinks the world of you. He's totally in love with you. Even though you've forgotten your love of him, he hasn't stopped loving. The love affair is still going on from his side. You see what I mean? He's not covered over an illusion. So his dearly beloved is taking this trip through the material world, through all this, these realizations and searching to get out. And he is extremely interested. I mean, keep in mind, you're not some insignificant thing to him. You mean everything to him. Now, you're his favorite. Everyone is his favorite. He can do that because he's God, you see. So he's very interested in your trip and the choices you make and this marvelous story of you. See, to him, you are the center. Everybody is, but he can do that. We want to be the center for us. He's very interested, you see. I mean, this is tremendous for him to see you make this trip and to see how you will, what decisions, what choices you'll make. Yeah, I think she had a question. Let me get her question first.
You know how this is all Krishna's dream,
Mhm.
all this?
Mahavishnu.
Well, Mahavishnu, sorry. Well, could it be that like not that like no merging kind of deal, but like in through his dream, like he's every bit that makes himself like everything that he is. Could all of it in the dream be like every fibers, like all the innumerable, everything that makes up of him, like how there's that so many. Could it be like every part of it is like personified, like, and then he's given like sentience to each one of them, it's like because it is him, but like at the same time it's like it's fragmented since it's inside the dream.
Yeah, we're part and parcel of him, you know. Qualitatively, we are one. We're the same quality. It's like if you take this gigantic piece of gold, pure 24-karat gold, and you chip off a little tiny microscopic piece of it. That microscopic piece is qualitatively one with the big piece. It's same material.
And that's why he favors every single one.
Yeah, we're all part and parcel, but yet we're always fragment. We're always individual. Now, this merging concept, we can do that, but we merge in a different way than they think. So, for instance, the impersonalists believe that if you take a drop of, let's say you've got the ocean, the Pacific Ocean, the biggest ocean that we know of, and you take a drop of that water out. So now I have the big ocean and I have the drop. And now when I put the drop back in, can you find the drop? Where is it? Now it is the ocean. It's merged. So that's what they're wanting. Krishna says, well, you can have this merging, but it's not like that. It's like if you have a beach. If you're flying over a beach or high away from a beach, you look at it, it looks like all one thing. But really, if you get down real close, you see it's a whole bunch of little teeny tiny pieces. You see? So it's like if you take one of those little teeny tiny pieces off the beach and then you put it back, it looks like it's merged, but it's not. It's still, each one of them maintains their integrity, you see. So you can merge into the impersonal Brahmajyoti, but you're still like that piece of sand on the beach. You're there and you're part of it, but you're still eternally fragmented. Eternally. That's what this verse is pointing out very clearly. You're eternally a fragment. You never were, nor will you ever be merged like that salt water, the droplet into the ocean. But you can, if that's what you want, you can try for it, and there is a goal that you can do something very much like that, but you're not merging with Krishna. You're merging with the Brahmajyoti, the effulgence, the light, which is just covering. It's kind of like doing that kind of liberation is kind of like trying to taste honey by licking the jar. You're very close, but you're experiencing the covering of the honey. You're not getting the nectar inside, you see. So that's why it's a temporary liberation. You could stay there for a long time if you're very stubborn, but it's temporary. Typically, you go there, you can go and merge to the Brahmajyoti, and after some time, you check out and come back because you want more. And there is more, and you know there's more. So that's why you leave it and you come back where you came from here to look for more. And what is more? And as we accumulate knowledge, we start to realize, well, Krishna is not only more, but he's everything. If I achieve the supreme source of all sources, I have everything. You see? And then as we start to develop some understanding of Krishna, we start to learn to love him. And our dormant love starts to awaken. Our dormant knowledge starts to awaken. You see? Then we're on the path out of the material world forever. Once we leave, once we get it together and go back home, we'll never come back. Is that okay? Yeah.
So how do we understand concepts like heaven and hell against the background of this analysis?
That's a good question. Einstein addressed that. Someone asked about evil, and Einstein's pointed out that there is no such thing as darkness. There's the absence of light. You don't measure darkness. You measure the brightness or the dimness of light. So many lumens, so many candle power. There's no way to measure darkness. It's absence of light. The less light there is, the more it appears to be dark. Cold. There's no measure of cold. We measure heat. You see, cold is the absence of heat. And we can go on and on, but evil. There's no such thing as evil. There is the presence of God, and there is less presence of God. The less presence of God, the more it appears to be evil, you see. It's like our consciousness. If we have God consciousness, we're not evil. The less God consciousness we have, the more evil we are. Because if there's no God, then I don't have anybody to be accountable to. I can do whatever I want. You see? Does that make any sense? So, heaven and hell? Heaven is you're in heaven when your consciousness is perfect with Krishna, when you become Krishna conscious, when you're in love with Krishna. No matter where you're standing, that's heaven for you. You can be in Goloka Vrindavan and be here. And hell is any time that you lose your consciousness of God. If you've lost your consciousness of God and you think it's just me against the rest of these people and the elements and the three modes of material nature, that's hell. See? That's hellish.
And what's the ultimate goal?
The ultimate goal is to revive our dormant love for Krishna.
What if it's there and we're seeking it? How can we do it?
Huh?
If it's there and we're seeking it actively,
Oh, how can it be dormant?
how could it be?
Because we're in, it's just like the grass. The grass is dormant right now. It's because the environment is not favorable for it to flourish. You see,
Wait, so the environment being Krishna,
Krishna consciousness, spiritual.
the environment changes with seasons.
Yeah, and the environment changes. I mean, our spiritual environment changes for us when we associate with other people that are spiritual, that can help bring us along, give us spiritual, feed us spiritual knowledge, and help nourish us.
Spiritual seasons.
Yeah. So we change the spiritual environment. Hearing, coming together like this and hearing about it. And you notice this is a thing I observe a lot. The people who come together, when I came in and I said usual suspects, it's often the same crowd with some changes, because some people come to lap up the nectar, you see. And they may not need it as badly as those who aren't present. But they want it. They're attracted to it. It's not a question of need, it's a desire. I'm attracted to hearing about Krishna, Krishna consciousness, and achieving my lost relationship with Krishna is very attractive, you see. Even though it could be said, well, you don't need it as badly as others who aren't here. They don't have the consciousness to come here and hear. You do. And you have the attraction. They need it more. So a lot of times the information we discuss here is great for us. We're enjoying it and we're making advancement by hearing and exchanging. But those who need it most, they're not here. And a lot of times you'll notice it's the same faces. It may be the same faces that aren't around. And also the same faces you'll see that show up. One more quick question.
Yes, so what, if you can answer this, so what deems someone Krishna conscious? What deems them not Krishna conscious?
Basically, if you're conscious of Krishna, seeing that, my dear Lord, everything that I do is for you. And I'm completely dependent on it.
So what happens in that case that you are totally committed and you feel that?
And
you Krishna conscious.
You start to rise, your consciousness gets undormant. Now the environment for your consciousness to bloom and to flourish is correct. And your consciousness starts to live. And daily, sometimes hourly, you'll have more and more realization. Mm-hmm. And you feel yourself getting closer and closer to Krishna.
So it's closer and closer, you never hit it on the next time.
Well, you'll hit it, you get it. But then
what happens to the ultimate goal after
Krishna's nectar, the bliss of being Krishna conscious is ever increasing. Mm-hmm. So even though you get it, it's like right now.
It's like affinity.
Yeah. Right now you get it, and then you realize, oh, but there's more. And then you get that, only to realize, oh, but there's more. And then it's ever increasing. It's not like we get it, and then we're like, oh, okay, Krishna, that's really nice to be back. How's the wife and kids? Oh, we talked about that. Okay. Do you think the Cowboys are going to win this? No, we talked about that. Well, anyway, this has really been fun. I'm glad we're back together. It's not like that. It's ever increasing.
So it's like the water is overflowing.
Yeah,
pouring.
yeah, it's just ever
The
increasing.
cup is full, but more water and
Yeah,
just overflowing. Stays full.
And your capacity for more grows. As that grows, the capacity for him to fill your cup grows. As your capacity to receive, and then his capacity to fill it. See?
The real question is, what is filling the cup?
Yeah, yeah. So it never gets to the point where you feel like, okay, I'm here. Gee whiz, for the last few days, Krishna, we've been hanging out since I got back. I thought tomorrow I was going to go play some golf, and I'm sure you're busy. So, you got a lot of things to do, so, it's been fun. Maybe, hey, how are you for Wednesday? Maybe we can get together for let's do lunch on Wednesday, huh? You see, it's not like that. Because after a while, even you get with your best friend or your old college friend or your parents, whatever. It's like, okay, this has been great, So, but it's not like that when you go back home, back to Godhead, when you achieve Krishna. It's just, that's it, and it's ever increasing. You don't want to pry yourself away even for a minute.
And there you're not bewildered by material energy. So like the creation of universes, galaxies, it's like, so what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, it's after 8, so it's time for, what is that? Oh, prasadam.
Awesome.
Thank you all.
Thank you for your
Hare Krishna.